What is up, everybody? BobbyFi with my man, Eric Sheets Haber. Was the big winner in more ways than one yesterday. He not only won in the MLB, he didn't play the NBA, which is a win. So we're going to give him credit for that one as well. I unfortunately did. I actually had some reasonable lineups that didn't even end up cashing, but it's weird these days. And I wanted to touch on just sort of the strategy, because what we're getting is a concentration of chalk in really obvious good spots on teams that don't matter, don't care what they're playing for, but want to play their young guys who are all underpriced and guys are sitting and all that stuff. And then we have a very small group of teams that are really playoff position hunting, especially with the fans probably going to be able to go to more games, more and more fans coming in. It's actually really going to matter for teams like Utah, Phoenix. So you get the opposite, guys really going on busting their ass all night. Like even the Clippers, I feel like are doing that somewhat. And then you've got these other teams who are just caving in and sort of seeing what happens with their young guys. So we have to try to find ways to get different without getting too different. And I think that that's the part I've tried to take a lot of stances against some of the chalk. And even when they hit and your guy scores 25 points at minimum cost, it's not good enough. You're going to need, it is good enough sometimes, but a lot of the time there's another guy out there these days, minimum cost scoring 35, 40 fantasy points. So we're going to try to find the best plays within the realm of what we know about the slate so far today. But I just think
real quick, who was the big winner last night with respect to like the chalk? Like who was the chalk that went off? What I literally have no idea who played.
I did say on air that I was going to speculate that we didn't have Plumlee news until like maybe 9 Eastern. And I speculated on air that I thought that Plumlee would be out and Stewart would be the automatic play. Stewart had 45. He was awesome.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I locked him in. So that was good.
What was his price? Was he over 4K?
4,100, I think, and 44.
Wow. Okay.
So he was really good. The other guys who I'm just looking at my other chalk things. I played a lot of Luka, who didn't like explode. He put up like 55, 53 or whatever. And Chris Potts played on a back-to-back and absolutely smashed, which kind of hurt a little bit. The Toronto guys, the real smashing was done by Chris Boucher. So if you didn't play him, you were dead. He had 67 fantasy points. I did play him as in my main lineup on DraftKings. I did not play him on FanDuel, but I played and a newbie who just got me 5x. There's a lot of guys who just get you 5x, and that was what was sort of hurting me. And then Levine went off also as semi-chalk on FanDuel.
Oh, did he really?
Finally, the Levine game. I actually won in that. That was my one cashing lineup, was my Levine and Raptors stack there with Boucher.
What did he get, 50?
55, I think. And then it was the Portland Utah game got a little bit out of hand late. I had a lot of Lillard and Mitchell stacks that didn't quite get as much as they could have. Things like that. I mean, it was a pretty neat little slate, and this is going to be a tough one.
All right, let's do it. Let's go through it.
So right off the bat, let's get into the game.
Let me share my screen.
Yeah, make sure that I set my security. Yeah, here, hold on. Give me a second. There you go. Now you go.
Okay.
I guess I guess I'll give one overall point of view thing. So obviously the news thing we have to wait on, but there's guys who are playing a lot, like who are going to be hard to fade. And I'm not saying we should be fading these guys. This is part of what I mean about the good chalk. But when you have guys who get to be 70% owned and their role is still somewhat in flux, we should at least consider it when they're on a playoff team like Jalen McDaniels. Now, I'm going to play Jalen McDaniels. If you're playing cash games, you're going to start with Jalen McDaniels. But it's just an example of a guy who's going to be really popular. It'll happen also, I think, with Cody Zeller today, guys like Kent Bazemore. And these are guys who I'm not saying we fade them, but we're going to fade some of them. Brad Wanamaker. We're going to fade some of this stuff to try to find the absolute best while keeping some of the good chalk and not other parts of it. Because Charlotte, I can tell you right now, is going to already pop off as being just significantly better than everybody else, depending on, of course, what happens. So with that said, let's start off with Indy and Orlando.
Well, let me comment on that overview for a second. Okay, so it's funny because I ran my stuff or whatever, and I saw what you were saying, that those top values up at the top. And the first thing I looked at is like, Kent Bazemore's chalk, Brad Wanamaker's chalk. Like I had him the other day, literally at 1.2% ownership. Right?
I'm not sure that they will be, but at this point in the morning,
they will be, because I see what they're projecting. You know what I mean? Like they just
but I'm just saying there may be so they may end up turning into non-chalk. I'm just saying because like what if all the Indiana guys are out again?
Right, but I mean you could, like, for me, like if you get all three of these guys in the roles that they're projecting them for, like McDaniels, Bazemore, Wanamaker. Like for me, I'll play McDaniels like 70,000 times before I'll play the other two. Maybe that's dumb. I don't know. Well,
no, I think most people will go with that same strategy. I think it's accurate though. I still make things accurate. Sheets, I'm gonna have to pause this for 1 second. I'll be back in just a second. Sorry.
Sure.
And we're back. Sorry, guys. Yeah, just talking about the overall parts of the slate sheets. Why don't you pick up where you were? Sorry about that.
No, that was pretty much it. I'm ready to.
Okay, well, let's
head
jump into
into
the games then, and we will find a way to go. So we have obviously a lot of questions on the Indiana side. Just for what it's worth, I think it's important that you playoff watch right now and try and figure out teams' motivations. Now, Indy, I sort of get the feeling like less than the Bulls, of all the teams that are in this range that are going to maybe make the playoffs, I feel like Indy's motivation is a little bit less, and they can take a year and sort of see they've got a good foundation they can build around. They can maybe get in the lottery, maybe get a little bit of a higher pick, but I don't think they're playing to lose. I just think that they're not necessarily like the fact that they set all their guys at once. It should be a sign. But the guys who are out there don't know anything but to hustle and just play their ass off. So we need to know what happens with really before we do anything with Sabonis and Brogdon, right? I mean, that's it.
What if say Sabonis plays and, like, for example, let's say what if they all play?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like anything? Because I actually would have some interest in Sabonis.
So Brogdon hasn't played since the 31st. I'm really questioning whether he plays. I love Sabonis if he plays. To answer your question, I guess is simple.
Okay, that's all I was asking.
Or I really like him. I should put it as if he plays. If not, I mean,
we're back to Goga. I mean, like,
I'm back to McConnell. Like, I understand McConnell had a bad game for everybody once, but then he exploded the next one. I just think they're going to need a lot of TJ McConnell if these guys are both out. If just one of them's out, I still like McConnell actually. And if they're both out, again, you can go back to Goga. I think this is one we're going to have to save for later because I really don't know what to do with two legit questionables. I do think Brogdon likely does sit, but I'm not sure. It's just speculation at this point.
Yeah, but one of the only things, not the only things, but one of the things I've gotten right about this Orlando thing is that I highlighted really pretty quickly that what's his name, Wendell Carter Jr. is playing really, really well over there. If they ever give him minutes, and then they did it, man. They gave him over 30 3 games in a row, and he was over 40 all three of them.
Yeah.
And last game he only played 23 minutes, whatever. But he's I don't know if 6K is particularly appealing, but I don't know what the rotation is going to be. Again, Orlando's another team, like whatever. I'll tell you who else has been playing pretty well. They've just, and I have really no idea for real, but like the times, the rotations I've seen him, like this, like Bamba's like really good. I don't know and I actually didn't even know he played like 2 games ago, and he's got 37 fantasy points. I should have known that. I should have been on that. And I was just watching a couple of times. He was playing really well. I don't know whether I don't know what the rotation is going to be with Carter and him, but I don't know. Both these guys seem to be
the problem is
ancillary value. No,
it's not just Carter and him. It's Carter, him, and then you've got Okiki, who sort of kind of can combine for those things.
Okay.
But we don't have Kem Birch tonight. Am I missing something?
I guess that's it, right?
So that would make him a little bit more viable. My first thoughts are probably to stay away here from anyone except for Carter or Okiki.
Well,
but I'm
why we have there's no Kem Birch. I don't think he's on the team.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm a little behind with the Orlando guys because they've been playing with guys. I thought he did know. I thought he is still there. Unless
he's not in my roster.
I miss. All right. Well, anyway, I'm not especially interested in their side of it. If I was going to play some of the indie guys, I would probably think about Okiki and or Carter as a run back.
What the hell, man? And Michael Carter Williams are putting up numbers?
Oh, they just bought him out yesterday. That's why I missed it.
Okay.
Okay. I thought I was losing my mind because I knew he played the last game or a couple games ago for them.
So I've noticed that Michael Carter Williams putting up some numbers, but I think Cole Anthony's been back now, right?
Cole Anthony's back. Okay. Probably limited.
Yeah, he had to play 26 the other day.
I mean, Terrence Ross is an interesting GPP flyer for sure, right? Like,
yeah, I think if he would have done it, he would have done it when all the guys were out.
He just did it.
Oh, did he? Oh my
He's been doing it in these situations. It's the same situation. I mean, not crazy, but like 6,300. He's he's putting up 37 and 33, and he shot the ball okay. But one of the nights he was 7 of 18. I mean, 2 for 9 from 3, 1 for 4 from 3. Like, he can improve on this. Like, he's going to be their offense, and Indy's defense is not the same as it was last year. So I actually think he's an interesting tournament flyer at no ownership.
Yeah. So overall, this game is pretty boring, and unless you get a whole bunch of indie news, and then you got to deal with it, right?
Yeah. But it actually is. I do think that these are some interesting spots. And just keep an eye always with Orlando on who they end up starting and stuff. Because if they wanted to start Mo Bamba with Carter one night, it wouldn't surprise me if they tried any kind of weird thing, to be honest with you. Anyway, yeah, we can move on.
Wait a minute. That's so funny. Like when I mentioned Jalen McDaniels,
you were thinking of Jaden McDaniels.
Well, yeah, I was thinking of the guy from Minnesota, right?
I know. Same position.
So weird. So yeah, so I don't necessarily feel as though Jalen McDaniels is a huge lock, is what I'm saying. But maybe he is. But we'll get to that in a second. But I was thinking of something different. I was actually thinking of, I think, McLaughlin. That's what I was thinking of. Anyway, with that said, I don't think I like anybody from Minnesota. Am I supposed to like Towns?
I don't think so. I mean, look, it's a good matchup. He's 10-9, man.
I got to find a way to squeeze in Jokic at 400 less, right?
I think that's the answer, but it may not be the answer anymore. Because,
or can I sneak in Embiid at 800 less? Can I do that?
You know, it's really weird. Sneaky, I mean, what's his name? Towns has just simply, since that trade, been astronomically better than Jokic for fantasy production. Now, Jokic is awesome. He's starting to run it. By the way, now minus 260, I believe, or 210 to win the MVP. Ooh, I'll take it, buddy. 35-1. Let's go. But he's just, the team is too good. They're too loaded around him, and they beat the hell out of everybody they're playing. So that's part of the problem. But Towns that is a good conversation piece. I think Towns will actually be a little bit lower owned, and he's been outperforming him all the time. So let's just keep that on the radar for right now. I don't know what to do with it, but
you like anything from Boston? You like Kemba or somebody like that?
I think that they're all fine. And I think that in this matchup, Jaylen Brown is a really good play, but I don't know that I'm going to end up getting to a ton of him. I think Tatum is starting to get to the point where he might be a little too cheap. I know he struggled a little bit lately. Or hasn't really put up a big fantasy floor, but we've seen it from him so many times. It's a great matchup. Everybody should get a little boost. He, Kemba. So they're all in play for me, but I lean Jaylen and I lean Robert Williams. Those are my favorites.
Yeah, this is going to be a short slate.
Yeah.
I'm like looking at like the guys I like, and they're like all coming from like 2 games. So
yes.
And it's not from this next one. Actually, that's not true. So, wow. So Memphis, New York. I'd like to say that I think that Valanciunas is a really good play. Considering everything we just talked about, that you're going to have like Jokic is probably a good play, and Embiid might be a good play. People might play it for Towns. Zubac is going to be a good value play at 5K. Zeller, maybe people go to him. Valanciunas 7,100 can do freaking. I mean, I know it's not the greatest pace in the world, but he can do some work at 7,100, man. I don't know. I'll put him in. And is that it? I think that's it from this game for me.
Yeah, I can get behind the Joval 7,100 price for sure. It's and also I like him better in slowed down games.
That's something.
And I'm just going to mention the guy who really is like the best tournament play, because in close games he tends to always explode. Somehow they don't play a ton of them. He hasn't been great lately, but Ja has the monster ceiling and will be low owned. So I'm just going to mention him. I'm not going to say anything more than just that he's a good.
He's definitely literally the worst first half fantasy player of all time. Because
he's actually a good player and a good point guard trying to get his team involved. It's unfortunate. Yeah. But when they're, again, Sheets, that's sort of how the other guys are too. When they're threatened, he and the Lillards and the West, they just go nuts.
Yep.
And this is a tough, I mean, it's, I actually, Knicks defense has been really good. The guy who I like on the Knicks, I do like one or two potential things. I like Derrick Rose a little bit. The minutes have been trending and okay. He hasn't been playing especially well, but I'm just, early in the day thinking about him as a possibility. But mostly the guy who I'll have interest in is going to be Nerlens Noel. I understand that the minutes have been, not what they've been in over 20, but they've, more in the 21, 24 range. And there's been some other circumstances for some of those situations. But he played 27 in the last game. having to have his body up there against Joe Bell. And they could play Taj Gibson too, but I'm just throwing it out there. 4.3 for Noel in a fast-paced matchup with a team that gets a lot of that turns the ball over and gets their shot blocked a lot, attacks the rim as much as anybody. Noel stands out as a potentially valuable sneaky play that no one's going to play.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at Morant's last game. I swear to you, he had 4 fantasy points there.
It's crazy. Can we just do the points by quarter? Maybe they'll let us bet points by quarter.
Right.
That will happen soon, Sheets.
Yep.
It's not far away. All right. You want to talk about Chicago and Atlanta?
Yes. Well, no, but yes. Trey and Levine look like the only guys that show up as someone that's maybe Kobe White too. Kobe White is 4,300.
Yes.
What happened to him?
He's not. He's the backup point guard now, the sixth man essentially. But he's playing minutes. How many minutes he'll play on a 3 and 4 on a back-to-back after an injury? I don't know.
Wait. So we're saying that the very least he's played is 24. And up to 30, dude, I'm trying this.
Yeah, no, it's fine to try it. He's going to have some ownership too. I don't.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm not sure that he's a better play than Satoransky is. Honestly, they're it's 800 difference, but I think they're pretty close actually.
Okay.
And Levine Vooch's price is tempting, but again, I don't love these matchups. But Vooch is really good. Like, I mean, by the way, if we get no Capella, then Vooch, you can get this game stack and play Vooch because I really like Vooch if we don't have Capella. I just love this price for him. And on the back-to-backs, these guys are the ones who are playing desperately trying to win. And Vooch and Levine, I still think is a little banged up, by the way. And I think that even though he played well last night, the back-to-back does worry me a little bit for him. What was amazing about that last night, he was great facilitating, 13 assists. I mean, it was against Toronto, but this is Atlanta. So we can sort of take some of the same principles here. I just feel like we should have exposure to some sort of like little game stacks here, or little 1v1s and stuff. And I think Trey on the other side is obviously the guy you think of the most. But obviously if no Capella, we want to probably play a Kongwu. Well, I guess we have to play a Kongwu, especially if there's no Capella and no Gallinari. It's hard to find.
Say this again. So if Capella is out, and if Gallinari is out, then we play a Kongwu? Yep. Okay. Well, he played 32 minutes the other day, huh?
Yeah, and he's actually really good. He's just a rookie. I mean, he's just young. And even weird guys if they're both out, like Tony Snell and Solomon Hill might get into the mix depending on how their starting lineup shakes out. So we have to really know about Capella and Gallinari, but either way, Trey is definitely in play. And I like the idea of running him back with either Levine or Vooch, depending on who else is in.
Okay. Philly against New Orleans. I guess assuming everybody's in, it looks like everybody's kind of priced kind of fair. I did mention Embiid though. So Embiid is, I'm not particularly scared of Steven Adams is he even I keep getting confused. Is he on New Orleans?
Yeah, he is. And while he's great against everybody else, I don't think it matters all that much with Embiid.
I don't think it does either. I guess Zion would be my favorite, but at 9K, I just don't think I'm going to get there. So for me, it's going to be Embiid or nothing, actually, I think.
I really love Embiid as a tournament play. I think he's just an awesome tournament play here. I just think you're getting 0-0-0 ownership. I'm a glutton for punishment, so I'll have like 1 or 2 lineups with Ben Simmons on FanDuel at 7,800. This is just the matchup shakes out. He's been so bad, but I don't care. Like I'm going to take the long-term results. I don't think this is who he is, and they're trying to get in their playoff push and all that stuff. But I think this game has got to be nationally televised, right? Like, how do you not? If there's a 7:30 game, then it is. Maybe there's not. Oh, maybe it's not televised. I don't think it. That's weird. You'd think this would be they'd make sure to televise the Embiid and Zion and everything. But yeah, Embiid would be my favorite play. And I think I might prioritize him just because of the lack of ownership. And I think he'll be the lowest of all the centers we mentioned, and seriously has the monster upside and still trying to fight his way back into the MVP conversation. And Philly wants home court advantage, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Let's play some Embiid tonight. And then we just have to see who's playing for New Orleans. Like, it really is question mark city. You know what I mean? That if everybody's out, I think we can do some things with Zion. You might want to play. We might even want to play. Well, we don't even know if Kira Lewis is going to play. We really need to know who their lineup is, whether Ingram's going to play or
not. I would be careful. You want to move ahead?
Yeah.
My instinct here is that, first of all, what do you think? Is Giannis expected to play or not, or we don't know? Or
questionable. I don't know. I really haven't had the best feel for some of these lately because I think I hate to say it, I don't know. I thought he would play. Maybe he won't. I really am having a hard time gauging this. If Giannis plays, obviously he's a great play. I honestly just don't know what to do with it right now. So
okay. But what I was gonna say is I would be careful going too nuts with the Charlottes. I mean, they can get blasted, no?
Yeah. One guy who you're definitely playing if Giannis is out, I just want to point out on first of all, you want to stack this game if Giannis is out. I don't care about how popular. One thing is they're going to be less popular, but people may not realize Chris Middleton was 6 for 27 from the floor last night.
Well, we'll get to them in a second.
I'll go to Charlotte. Well, I'm talking about stacking because that's why it becomes more appealing to maybe play more of these guys. So there's a lot of similar position players that are projected for a lot of minutes, which is totally possible. But what are they? Charlotte's fighting for playoff seeding too and staying out of the play-in game. Aren't they going to put their best foot forward? They've kind of, messed with some things a little bit lately. It's really tricky to figure out. The Jalen McDaniels thing as super chalk is a little bit worrisome to me because I don't think it's a guarantee that he has to play even. Zeller is going to be really popular. So maybe I'm crazy. I do know no matter what happens, PJ Washington is getting minutes. I know he hasn't been good and he's had some really, really, really bad games. Finally was okay the other night. But I have some interest in PJ Washington as the low owned of the bunch.
I mean, if they're really, I mean, like if what you say is true and they're really just trying to put their best foot forward in their, whatever it is, but you have to think about, like, God forbid they can keep the game close or whatever it is. Like, who's going to be in there at the end? And the guys that are going to be in there at the end are going to be Rozier. It's going to be Graham. It's going to be PJ Washington. It's going to be Miles Bridges, right? And somebody else.
Yep.
So that either means Cody Zeller, but Cody Zeller never closes.
Right.
Or McDaniels if he happens to be playing well, or somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't know if McDaniels is like a lot to be closing.
I agree with you 100%. And also, I want to just take a quick look at the last game because this is probably the most important.
He started.
Late. Was that?
He did start.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. So he started out, and then they brought out in Bridges, and it was a close game, and he played really well. That's Jalen. Sorry.
When was that game?
Did he? It was. Let me just grab it. It was on April 7th.
Here, I got it right here.
They beat OKC.
I ain't saying much, but
yeah, I understand.
Yeah, McDaniel started and got basically full starters rotations.
I mean, we should assume that happened. I mean, look, we're gonna be. I still am gonna have a bunch of McDaniels. I'm just trying to find the.
Well, what I'm saying is we can assume it happens, but remember he got the start, and because he was playing well, they continue to give. You know what I mean? Like, so it's possible that if he's not that great, that one of the Martins come in instead or something like that. Or maybe they do have Cody Zeller get more like 33, 34 minutes somehow. I don't know.
So Bridges Bridges also is so I think Bridges, McDaniels, and Washington are my favorites, along with I'll take some shots with Graham. I don't know about Rozier; it's a little too high of a price, but if I was going to stack the game, that's only if Giannis is out and I'm stacking the game that I'm going to do that. I'm okay with just not playing Wanamaker as at 3,200. That's fine with me. I don't need to play him. And I think Cody Zettler is totally in play. They just keep changing their center rotation, so it's tricky. So Bridges, Zeller, McDaniels, and Washington are my guys.
The thing is that once again, they don't really need, I don't think, Zeller against Milwaukee. It's not like Milwaukee has a huge center that he's got, you know what I mean, or anything like that. I think
I totally agree.
Playing PJ Washington at the 5 if they want to.
Absolutely.
And you were saying obviously that well, first of all, if Giannis is in, do you like him?
Always.
Okay.
Especially with the Q tag and all that stuff.
And if he's not in, we're going back to Middleton and Drew's got to be in play, right? I mean,
Drew, Middleton. Middleton's number one for me
okay.
by a ways. I mean, he's 6 for 27. He still put up 30 fantasy points the other night. Drew has more paths to not get there than Middleton does. I actually don't even think this is the worst matchup for Middleton if Giannis played, but I'm not going to do it on this slate. But I do think.
How did Portis do getting the start the other day? By the way. Oh right. Wow, he did great, huh?
Yeah. So Middleton, Portis, then Drew for me, in that order. If there's no Giannis, and not really interested too much in anything else from this side, but if Giannis plays, it's just Giannis for me probably.
Wow, Bobby Portis, look at this game, man.
Yeah.
14 rebounds.
He's a monster.
He's a monster.
And it's the kind of team you can get a ton of rebounds against too.
Sure can.
All right. Should we jump over to San Antonio, Denver?
Yeah. So I like Jokic, and I get what you're saying, that a lot of his projection is based on results from when the makeup of the team was different, where he'd have to do everything.
Right.
Instead of being, having Aaron Gordon, and just being more of I don't want to say facilitator, to even demean that, you know what I mean? He's making the team better by doing what he's doing now. With that said, I still like him.
No, it's fair. And to your point, to that point, I just want to say his usage has been just absolutely incredible.
Right.
There's just not as much all overall there. In fact, I'm actually looking at his last game, wondering how he didn't have more fantasy points than what he did.
And what happened with Murray out? Did anybody pick up the slack? Did Morris do anything, for example?
There's no reason to. I don't think there's any.
No.
I don't think there's any reason to look at these other guys at all.
Okay.
No, he didn't. There's too many guys. I mean, they have too many guys. Will Barton would be the other one who you'd have some interest in, I think, for sure. If there was no Murray, and even if there is Murray, I actually kind of like Barton.
Okay.
But
anything from San Antonio? I didn't get anything.
No.
All right. So now we get to the fun game, right? So Washington against Golden State. You're gonna get, this is gonna be fun, man, right? I mean, you're gonna want, in my opinion, you're gonna want to play Curry. You're gonna want to play one of the Washington guys, if not both. No, you can't play both, but play Westbrook. What do you think you're gonna do with Beal? They're gonna run him? You run him out again?
I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah. And then I mean, like you tell me about Bazemore. That's all well and good, but you could play you could play Draymond. You could play Oubre against his old team. That's fun. And yeah, I mean, it'd be a zillion points this game. You probably want to have something.
Yeah, I think that it goes Curry, then Oubre, then Draymond, then that's it for the main guys. And then you've got do I want to get into the Wiseman thing? I don't think we do tonight, but I think it's not. I mean, I'm not going to do it, so I'm not going to talk much about it.
This was real. This was I gotta. I don't want to rag on anybody, okay? But this was really funny. Like his last game, I was listening to one of the, I don't know, some competitors, but a podcast I like to listen to, whatever it is. And they were just being so sarcastic and saying, "So anybody like Wiseman here? What's your over under on minutes from 12 minutes, 11 minutes? I mean, anybody thinks that Wiseman's a good player really should like give up money and like this whole thing." And dude, I mean, like he only had 32 fantasy. He could have had a lot more. And that was a dangerous fade at freaking.
I'm continually shocked by every other sites, and I don't have the ability to do this. Talk about 19-year-old guys as they're done and they'll never be good in the NBA. And they
God damn, right?
I'm like, you guys don't know. You know who's awesome? Patrick Williams, and no one understands it. Who doesn't understand real basketball? It just looks at numbers. But guys like that, there's so many good basketball players that these guys just think suck. And James Wiseman is going to be a future all-star. I have almost no doubt in my mind he's going to be a star if he stays healthy.
So I would try that too. I don't know. I mean, it seems like a lot. It seems like a lot of points out there.
Yep.
And I'm not going to go for anybody else on Washington. I'm going to play either Westbrook or Beal and be done with it.
Yeah. I really like Westbrook.
Sure.
That was making it hard for me with Beal, but I'm definitely tempted by the ownership with Beal. Westbrook tends to take these Golden State matchups a little bit more seriously than most. So I really like Westbrook. I mean, the price is crazy high, but he's absolutely been worth it to say the least. He's pretty much been the best fantasy guy over the last couple months, if you consider just playing every game and season long. He certainly has been. Bradley Beal and he are my only guys too. If somehow they release the minutes on Bertans or open those up, I could see going there, but just a little bit. But the Bazemore thing, if you're going to play like Bazemore, if he really ends up in the 20% owned range or plus, which I don't think is going to end up happening, but if he did, throw in a Damian Lee or two in your lineups instead and see what happens. Because I do like Bazemore in these type of pace games, but I think Damian Lee has just about the same, actually probably a higher ceiling than Bazemore, or it's close, and do the same price, and he'll have no ownership.
So I want to rant a little bit, not really a rant, but I want to see when I got into DFS, where I really didn't know much about John Wall, like at all. I think when I first started playing DFS, he was already out for the year. You know, I really didn't get a chance to see. He was out. What was he out for 2 years or something like that? Like
he had the injury,
and then he like had another injury or whatever it is. The only thing I knew about him was that I mean he's had some issues and not particularly well spoken, and people make fun of him like that when he ever does public speaking and things like that. So you feel bad for a guy like that in general. And then he gets on this team now, which, you know, they lost Harden, they have like no players and suffered with injuries. He has to rest, and then came off a week's rest and freaking just. I love when this guy plays well. I really do.
He's not playing, right?
No, I don't think. No, he's out today.
Yeah.
That's what I was just saying though. But he was out for like 8 days, and then he comes back. He's out. He's out. All right, he's gonna play, and he just freaking smashes. I root for a guy like this. I mean, he's been waiting to play for so long, and and then all of a sudden he gets in the situation which is just impossible. So he's out. So yeah. Currently, I don't know who, if anybody from Houston, I'm going to play, but I have a feeling that by the time lock hits, I'm going to come up with something. Right now, nobody really stands out for me. And on the Clipper side, the Zubac thing is always looks like a decent trap to fall into. And then, you know, again, let's see who's out. You never know with the Clippers. So
I'm just going to go out further. I'm going to bet that somebody's out.
Right, exactly.
I'm just going to play that way.
Yeah, so I'm not, you know, I'm literally not wasting the slightest shred of energy on this game. You know what I mean? It's 10 o'clock. I can wait if I feel like playing and deal with it then. Because if I get locked into like a great lineup build where I have Kawhi in or something like that, I'm just going to end up getting tilted. You know what I mean? It's just not going to work for me. So I'm just going to hold off on my analysis of this game until later.
So I'm going to propose that there's a couple guys in this. It's a back-to-back, so just look. I don't know what the hell we're going to expect from these guys. I like Zubac quite a bit, actually. I like Morris if I'm not playing Zubac, and I love Paul George. I actually would play Paul George even if Kawhi played. but I think that there's a good chance we get a sit from one of those guys, more likely Kawhi usually. It's not a tough matchup. They had a really tough game last night against Phoenix, right? Was it last? It was last night. Am I missing something? Maybe if I'm off by a day, that's a big deal. So I got to make sure I'm not 4-8. It's 4-9, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, they played a bunch of minutes last night in a tough matchup. I think that they're going to sit at least somebody tonight. So Paul George is my guy who I'm going to play and just hope that he's in. And Rajon Rondo is the weirdest one because he would seem likely to sit as an older guy, but could end up picking up some extra minutes if not, and should be able to do whatever he wants. I mean, he could have like a double in like 20 minutes against this Houston team. He's the cheap guy who I would pick over the Wanamakers and all those guys. But you're going to have to hope some things break right, because there's a chance he might, like, what if he and George are out, or he and Leonard, or all three of them, and then Reggie Jackson becomes in play. So there's a lot in this last game. I'm going to want to have, a little Zubac probably in the utility spot. I'm going to want to have Paul George in my second guard spot. And I might try to find something else like Kelly Olynyk as the forward on my other spot, so I can keep that bottom of my DraftKings range together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Kevin Porter Jr. on both sides also is in play, but he's going to be really popular on FanDuel. He's percentage-wise priced a lot more fairly, but I like Kevin Porter Jr.
Okay. Do you want to do a? 'Cause I wrote all this down beforehand.
Okay.
Now I don't know where it is. The FanDuel situation.
Yeah, let's do it.
Crap. Where'd it go?
Okay.
Okay.
Start with point guard.
No, you could start. But I pulled it up. Okay, go ahead.
Curry, Westbrook are my favorites. Trae Young. I like the spend ups. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Hold on, let me get the right pricing. No wonder it's like this can't be right.
I'm ready. I'm gonna go with.
I got it. Curry and Westbrook are my favorites. And Trae Young. Oh, Trae Young's 8-1 now. Oh my God, I thought he was 9-1. Okay, Trae Young is going to be the mega chalk. I'm okay. It's good chalk, but I'm going to mix. I'm going to still play Curry and Westbrook a lot, and I'm going to play some Ben Simmons, which feels like, because I'm a glutton for punishment, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, so if I'll throw in that if Giannis is out, Drew Holiday in the mix, and I'll also add to that list Terry Rozier. My favorite is Curry.
Oh, Rozier! These prices, somehow he slid past me. I love the Rozier idea here. All right, ready for shooting guard?
Shooting guard, if he plays, I like Beal. At 8,300. That's that. And then also, I'm a little nervous on the back-to-back, but Zach LaVine at 7,500 remains a great play.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like your Paul George play a little bit better on DraftKings, like you were saying, but he's not the end of the world here. And this guy's has really not done it for me, but just like you said, pricing for us at some point, DeRozan's going to just have to be played, right? So I think I'm going to keep doing it, like you say, because I'm a glutton for punishment. I might play a little bit of DeRozan.
Yeah, I understand it. He's going to project.
How can you play DeRozan when you can play LaVine at 75, right?
No, but I mean, DeRozan's going to be a lot more popular than LaVine is.
Really?
Yeah. He'll project. He's going to project better.
Okay.
I think. And he's on a back-to-back DeRozan. Right. So
right.
I like Beal. I like Paul George, and I like LaVine. I would probably throw one share of like a Barton in there, but that's about it.
Small forward's kind of fun, if for me, if Giannis is out, then Chris Middleton, Jaylen Brown looks good regardless of whatever's going on over there. Oubre at 6,400 looks good, and like I said, play Kawhi at your own risk. But Middleton, Brown, and Oubre would be my three guys.
I like Oubre, Porter are my top two. My next one would be Patrick Williams. I really like Patrick Williams. I mean, people he's not blowing up slates, but he's 4,500. He gives you 25 or more in 5 out of 7, up to 30. Like, it's not a huge play, but we'll probably get better value. I'm just saying for right now, that's what I've got. And Yeah, Oubre Porter though would be my favorite too, and I think that I would have Oubre a little bit ahead of Porter. Oh, and Middleton obviously, if there's no Giannis, is number 1 for me.
The power forward, if the guy's starting, I guess I should probably play Jalen McDaniels. Okay, but you don't have to play him. But 4,300 at that position probably is a good play. Otherwise, I'm playing stuff like, well, Sabonis if he plays looks fine. Zion's expensive. Randall expensive. Tatum's expensive. I don't know. Maybe McDaniel's going to be played over here. Then there's Draymond's fine. Everybody, I just got a lot of guys that are fine here at power forward.
Yeah, I like the Charlotte guys here. McDaniels, Bridges, and Washington, 2 of the 3, or one of the 3. I think you're going to have in most of your lineups. But one of the 3 makes the most sense probably for tournaments. Christian Wood's price is tempting, but I'm not going to do it. I don't think. What's interesting is I think you can play Jalen and Jaden McDaniels both tonight.
And that's even better.
You get the McDaniels duo.
I like that.
And I've been talking about a lot of spend ups, so there's your spend downs, and you get both of those guys together, and maybe you're in business. The guy who is probably the best play is Jashawn Tate.
Ooh, I like.
The problem you get into with him is you need the game to stay close, and he's been struggling a little bit, but I do think that he's gonna sort of pop in projections with who's playing in Houston. Remember, Houston's a different team every night with what they, whether Wall plays and all that, everything changes. But I certainly like the McDanielses, and I agree with Sabonis if he's in. And by the way, one guy we didn't, Tatum too. Tatum and Sabonis are both solid plays.
Center for me, there are 3 guys I would play. And whenever I say that, this is my analysis on center for fans like always exactly the same. So this is what it is. So if you want to pay up, you can pay for Jokic, or you could play for a slightly worse projected, probably a lesser value, but going to be 1/3 of the ownership, maybe play Embiid, right?
Yep.
Then if you want, you could pay down for Zubac, who is a tremendous point per dollar play, who makes a lot of your rest of it work. Or before you forget, you can always just go play Joe Val at 7,200. Those are my that's my center analysis.
All of those are exactly what I would have said, actually. And pretty much the way I would have said it. The only thing I would say that you can maybe do to get different even further, I love the Embiid idea. I think that Embiid is what I'm going to start marrying myself to. And by the way, I'm okay with just the 50s every now and then. You know what I mean? Sometimes he's not going to put up that monster one, but there's legit 75 fantasy point upside for him every time he steps on the court. I still believe he is going to fight for that MVP. And I really like him, but I'm gonna end up with a lot of Zubac. I'm probably going to be lower on Olynyk than the field over here. I like the way he fits, and he allows me some flexibility with the later games in case there's any nonsense on DraftKings. On FanDuel, I don't really need to do that so much at center because I don't see him as being a better play significantly than Zubac. And I also do worry that at some point, this is not it yet, I don't know what they're doing exactly with him. They're playing him a lot of minutes, and he's been incredibly efficient, like just really awesome everywhere. He had 18 rebounds in the last game too, which is just psychotic. The Clippers you can beat up front, but I worry about this whole game and how it's going to go, how long he plays. There's also a downside with Olynyk too. So if he's going to be really popular, I can completely fade it. Yeah, those are the guys for me too. I'm pretty much just with you. And then I agree that Joe Val is the low owned mid-tier guy Joe Val's that guy at 7,200 that could actually outscore everybody on the slate at that position, right?
Yep.
And the other guy who could just outscore everybody is 11-1 and going to be completely unowned, where he'll be owned on DraftKings. Cat.
So
all right.
I would like to say, by the way, that if Neiman can get going, I will say rumors of my demise in the DraftKings 888 were a little bit premature.
Oh, baby doll, let's go. We got some shots there.
Because we got the Finau.
Wow, phenomenal.
We got the Thomas. We got the Palmer. We got everybody under.
Webb too.
But this Neiman, we got to get him in somehow.
I think he's going to get in. Right now the cut line.
No, the data golf got +3 as the.
Oh, they changed. Oh my God, it really has shifted.
Yeah. So he's going to. Well, you know what? You got to earn it, dude. So there it is. So.
Yeah, go out there and get it.
This is the snowman. This is what drives it all. So let's
get it.
Let's get Neiman in there.
By the way, Justin Rose, he bounced back a little bit. Wow.
I didn't even, you know, I knew it when you said it, but I'm like, I have Finau in my big one, right? And I forgot that I did. I'm okay. We could be back in business. We'll see
Oh
what
my
happens.
God, I love it.
See what happens.
Oh, my other guys are doing okay too. Cam Smith, okay. All right, Cheats. This was good, guys. Let's crush it tonight. We'll be back with you at 6 Eastern for the NBA slate, and let's get Sheets some more money. Let's get me some more money. Let's win some money for all y'all. So, for Sheets, I'm Bobby. Good luck, everybody.
All right. Good luck, Bobby. I'll talk to you.